Most people assume the market cooled off last year in 2025. But here's the twist. The average Desert Cities home actually sold for $35,000 more in 2025 than in 2024. So even though homes are taking a little bit longer to sell, they still ended up selling for a little bit more. Now, different pockets are going to have different scenarios, but let me break this down for the whole of the Coachella Valley for you. In the meantime, if you are new to my channel, I'm Lisa Angel. I've been a realtor, a full-time realtor for over 27 years, and I am here to help you break down all things real estate and community in the Coachella Valley. So let's take a look at our update. So I pulled this and I pulled up everything in our multiple listing service. It is possible that some homes that sold for sale by owner or privately are not in here. However, that number is actually going down dramatically. So chances are this is the vast majority of what has actually sold. So if when we look back from 2024 compared to 2025, what we are seeing is that they are staying on the market a little bit longer. So if you notice here, now keep in mind, had a little mix up here. The average sales price is reversed. So sorry about that. I'm just not going to start the video over just to fix that little typo. I'll just tell you because the change is actually correct. So the days on market went up 8 days. So the average in 2025 was 66 days on the market, and the average in 2024 was 58. Okay, that doesn't sound like much, and it's not. But if you've ever had your home listed, you know that 8 days feels like a really long time, especially if you're not getting any showings or what have you, right? So, and again, that's an overall average. And by the way, I'm only looking at homes. I'm not looking at new construction. I'm looking at homes that are largely resale, single family, and condos. So I'm not looking at manufactured homes and I'm not looking at new construction. A few new construction might have gotten peppered in here a little bit here and there, but I'm not looking at the new construction overall. So if they were on the market, then they might have slipped in here. But again, this is an overall number. Now, the list to sale, so the LTS ratio, so what you see here, and it's down 1%, right? Okay, what that means is what did the home sell? What was the final close price in comparison to the list price? So 98 or even 97% is not half bad. It's really kind of normal. In fact, I believe the overall normal is 96% when you look at the market over several decades. What we didn't see is 100% or 102% on average, right? So that was a little sliver of time there where everything was selling with multiple offers. And so some stuff sold way over what the asking was. Some stuff didn't sell at all. Some stuff actually still went down because there was usually was something about the home. So if you have a home that is in an area that isn't as desirable, if you have a home that is like a hoarder house, or if I've sold some of those, and honestly, it's not, I mean, every home has some value there, right? So it could be something where honestly, something like I have a cat. I have a 24-pound cat. So trust me, it's like having three regular cats. So sometimes we get a little nose blind to our pets, right? So I have two dogs and a huge cat. And so I've got about 125 pounds of animal going on in my house. Actually, it's closer to 135 pounds of animal. I'm looking down on it from now. In my home, I don't know, I might be a little nose blind. I also had COVID a couple years ago and it made my nose smell go away a little bit. So sometimes I don't know if people are walking into my house and noticing that maybe there's a little bit of a smell. So when I meet with sellers, potential sellers, I actually do try to tell them if that is something that I'm noticing, because honestly, I'm not here to be people's best friend, although I very much love and appreciate all of my clients. But I also am here to help you get your home sold. So I'm going to be honest with you, right? So there's some homes that are just, they have a weird floor plan, weird flow. And sometimes that can be there's actually a name for it, and I am drawing a blank, but it has to do with obsolescence. It's functionally obsolescent. That's what it is. But let's say you have to go through a bedroom to get to the backyard. That would be a functionally obsolescent home. If you have to go through one bedroom to get to another bedroom, like all of these I've seen, right? I've actually listed some before. So some of those would be the ones that would, even in the hottest market, sometimes still didn't even sell and or sold for less money or whatever. So that's why, so going from 97% on average, well, 98 down a point to 97%, it also goes to show that, listen, if a home is priced well, chances are it's going to sell for full price or closer to 99%. Why? Because right now, I am actually seeing homes get multiple offers if they're priced right. But if you're priced even a little bit too high, nothing, right? And if you've been sitting on the market, if you think about it from the buyer's perspective, so if you're a seller or a buyer listening to this right now, that really the perspective is going to be, the facts are, if a buyer comes into a home and they're interested at all, and they say, and a lot of sellers, and I talk about this with almost every seller I've ever talked to. Well, we can always bring the price down, but I want to be able to negotiate. It is not the right answer. I promise you it's not. Now, there's been times where it's like, listen, this home, I don't have a lot of apples to apples comparisons. And I even did this with a home not that long ago. I'm like, I see why you want to put it here, even though I'm thinking it should be here. And honestly, it was kind of funny because we met exactly in the middle from where I thought it should be, where he thought it should be. And it came exactly in the middle. And it was because it was a very unique property that was really difficult to find comparables for. So that was understandable. But largely, we have a lot, especially here in the Coachella Valley in the greater Palm Springs area, we have a lot of tract communities, right? Or, I mean, even if they're beautiful, like bigger, maybe even more custom homes, there's still these communities are little islands unto themselves, not completely. If you have a particularly nice home in one community and you are more like homes in a nearby community, well, the buyers are going to be looking at both. There's hardly any time do I find buyers that's like, I only want to be in this community. Really, really rarely happens. They might want to be in a particular area. So if you're in a similar, and I have another one that just was like this not that long ago, where they have a home that is particularly nice by comparison to all of the comparables that I am able to see. There might be other homes in there that are beautiful and really done as nicely as this one is. Because of that, I had to go to another couple of communities and make the comparisons there because let's face it, buyers are going to look at this one and this one. They just are. So if you compete with these over here and your community is just as nice, but for whatever reason, like not as many people have upgraded as you have, and this one over here is slightly newer, you're actually more in line with them over here, right? So listing too high can be the kiss of death on getting the actual price that you want. But there are reasons, like giving some examples here, to sometimes list higher than that. So don't get me wrong, this is not a blanket statement. And one thing I always say about real estate and about pricing, it is we have data and we have reading the tea leaves. And trust me, both of these are important. So we need to look at the hard numbers that we have, and then we need to look at, so one of the reasons that I still like to represent both buyers and sellers, I'm fairly equal. I'm anywhere from 40 to 60% heavy one side or the other on any given year and have been my whole career. So so that way I also know what buyers are saying when they walk into properties. And then when I go list a property, I know what people are talking about. I know what the rumblings are, right? So if you start too high and it's clearly too high and I can just come down. Well, think about it this way. When a buyer walks into a home and they're at all interested, so I'm going to roll back to where my story started here. If they're at all interested and I'm their agent and I'm walking through the hall and they say, "Oh, this is pretty nice. And how long has this home been on the market?" I get that question almost every time. How long has this home been on the market if they're interested? I also get, why are they moving? Okay, as a buyer's agent, I rarely know this. All right. And honestly, the listing agent can't really tell me unless the seller's given them permission. right? They don't have to tell you why they're moving, right? There'll be a personal choice. If there was an actual issue with the property, now that's a different story. I'm moving because I don't like that there's parties that go on next door every single night. I never get any sleep. And I don't like the fact that in our neighborhood, Coachella is nearby. And once a year, I have to deal with the traffic or whatever. So these things are actual things that are important information to disclose. Okay. That's a whole different story from I'm moving because I want to be closer to my grandkids. That's none of your business as a buyer, right? But anyway, I always hear like, how long's the home been on the market? Why are they moving? That I don't always know. And those kinds of things. But if I say the home's been on the market for 1 day, and maybe you've seen a few homes, right? You've been checking out, and you say, oh, wow, that 1 day, someone else probably would like this house too because of the price, right? It seems priced really well compared to maybe some of the other homes that I've seen. Maybe I shouldn't wait on this one. And I probably shouldn't mess around with the price. I probably want to, if I like this home and somebody else might too, and I might want to actually give them the price that they're asking. Okay. So these are normal market conditions, right? We're not talking about the, COVID times and, running up the homes by $50,000, $100,000. If the home's been on the market for 95 days, you're having a whole other thought process as a buyer go through your head. Well, what's the next thing, right? The next question is, what's wrong with it? Why didn't it sell, right? And usually it's not that there's anything particularly wrong with it. It was other than the price, usually, because I mean, like any home will sell for the right price. It just will. And one of my mentors used to say, the market will not let you underprice a home. Why? Because if it truly is undervalued, there's enough people out there looking that they will notice it and they will probably bid it to what the market value is, right? You have a better chance of getting the price that you want if you start low. And I know nobody wants to hear this and nobody wants to do it. But I tell everybody, if you start lower, and then you really have a much better chance of actually getting your price. Why? Because someone's going to recognize that they better not mess around. And, this house is a really good price. But there's also the possibility that it might still be too high. The market can shift on a dime. And so you might have started low, but honestly, the market will give you what the market will bear. It just will, right? You're not controlling the market. The market is controlling us. All we can do is look at what's going on in the market and then try to predict what's going to happen in the short term, which is why I say read the tea leaves, because nobody can tell me what's going to happen tomorrow. And let's take another example, 9/11, and all horrible thing happened here in our country. And then you go, yeah, but what, and you have to consider the fact that how did that affect business for the next little while? I'm not saying a 9/11 is going to happen the next day. I'm just making a point that that's why you have to read the tea leaves. So the data tells us what has already happened, and understanding the market and working with buyers and predicting what's going to happen is the reading of the tea leaves. Those two things come together to create a good listing price, right? So something that you're not going to have to worry about having to come down. So anyway, that's my little soapbox for today, just for today. I've got more soapboxes to stand on. But anyway, so now here's the other interesting thing though. Now, there are pockets, every market, but there's definitely pockets in our valley that are right now giving multiple offers. And then there's other pockets in our valley that is definitely a buyer's market, right? There's just way too much inventory. There's, for whatever reason, that one in particular is too high, right? So I can go into many different reasons. And if you have a property here and you would like to chat about what that would look like for your particular neighborhood, I'm more than happy to give you my analysis for that specific neighborhood or your house as well. And obviously, that's why I'm doing this video. If you need help with this, I'm more than happy to help you. If all this is as you come out of it with good information, I'm happy for that as well. So if you are feeling like this is good information, I would love a like. And if you could even see your way clear to subscribing to my channel, if you do find this content helpful, I would love that as well. So back to our story. Average sales price has gone by 4%. So even though we're sitting on the market a little bit longer, we are having a little bit less list to sale ratio pricing. The prices, yeah, but the square feet went up too. And the price per square foot was basically flat. Okay, so what does that tell us? The price went up, and again, remember, these are flipped. So 857.41 was 2024, 893, 559 was 2025. Now, when you see that, it lines up much better, because if you look at the fact that it's not much, but a few square feet, at almost $400 a square foot can make a big difference, right? So if you look at the average sales price went up 4%, but the average square feet went up 2%, now we know why the average price per square foot was basically flat. Okay, so I find that interesting, which means that all of this is basically flat. Okay, and I'm happy to send this to you too if you would like a copy of this sheet. I'd be more than happy to send that to you. Maybe I'll even put it in the description. I don't know. If anybody asks me for it, I'll throw it in the description. So the market analysis overall. So what do these stats mean? So homes have been sitting on the market a little bit longer. The slight dip in seller advantage. Okay, although again, I will tell you, if you price your home right and we do the right marketing. Okay, so that's the other side. So a real other quick soapbox. I told you I have more than one soapbox. So another soapbox. If you have a property that's particularly good, we haven't, for whatever reason, if it's the location and you've done a really nice job making it beautiful, if you've done some beautiful remodeling, if you have, I don't know, any number of reasons, right? You have something that we can really right now market very, very well. And I'll give you an example. There's a great home that I had on the market a little bit ago. Now, what are the factors? The factors are the market, the marketing, and the homeowner's upkeep and general location. Okay. So those three factors. So if we have great upkeep and location, and then we have really good marketing, then we are going to be in line with the market, right? And obviously good price is going to be factored into this as well. So I had a listing, and let me tell you, and I always put my listings depending on the properties. Obviously there's some homes that are maybe, under the $500,000 mark are not always going to get a Zillow showcase. Obviously the marketing has to align with the price of the property. And I can't, at some point I'm just going to be paying you to sell your house, right? So, but anyway, so homes for about 500,000 or more, I will do a Zillow showcase, especially if they really are showcase homes. They really show off beautifully. Those ones are going to get a little bit more attention. So we did a Zillow showcase. We did a coming soon campaign where that's, we were coming soon with just a couple pictures, and then we got the Zillow showcase going, and then we put that on the market, and then we had our first showing day and an open house. And I've done this with a few properties now, and it's can work very, very nicely. So we had a great open house. This was just 2 months ago. It was 2 months ago, not even quite. And we had a ton of people through the open house. We got 3 offers, took the best one, went under contract. That took a few days of just sort of back and forth and letting people bring their offers in and stuff like that. And then by the time I got my first call from the multiple listing service, right? So the first other agent who had a buyer who wanted to come see it, at the time I got that first call, we were already under contract. So the marketing and the run up to the open house, which also I did, Facebook meta ads, right? Facebook, Instagram, all the things. So we did ads for it. We did the Zillow showcase. We did the open house. We did all of the, build up for this property. And that's why the digital marketing sold that house before the multiple listing service did, which is really nice to see, because it's nice to have that other option, and you're not just spinning your wheels with only traditional marketing. So these days we do have some really nice options out there. But anyway, so again, that dip in seller advantage is going to be depending on, your situation. If you have let your house go and it's got a bunch of weeds in the yard and you have not cleaned it up properly, even if there's like, parts of it that are gorgeous or whatever, then, it's just only so much we can do. I can't control what a seller does with their property as far as having it ready for people to come in. I can control the marketing, but also I can't control how it looks. If the pictures don't come out nice because the property isn't nice, there's not much I can do about that. And then I can't control the market. The market is what it is. It's sometimes it looks like it's getting better. Sometimes it's getting worse. The interest rates go up, they go down. Things happen in the world. It's people pull back, or things happen in the world and everybody wants to rush. Let's face it. It's like, no matter how many people know that the fact is that moving away from the herd, so to speak, when it comes to money, you tend to do better. People still run with the herd, and it's okay. So we have a slight dip in seller advantage. And again, that will be dependent on your specific location and your specific, how nice your house has been kept. And I'm telling you, the slightest little bit of deferred maintenance anymore, it's bad. I mean, people are going to knock off in their head something that might have cost you $5,000 to fix. And in their mind, they're thinking, oh, that's going to be 20 grand. I guarantee it's all that's 20 grand. That's 10 grand, whatever. So our overall value, though, is holding strong, even with interest rates, even with some chaos that we've been dealing with. They're up. They're up overall on average. And buyers are buying slightly larger homes. So in the Coachella Valley, in the greater Palm Springs area, that is your market update. And I'm so sorry too. You know what? I got to really check these before I check these out. Q1 24 versus Q1 25. No. This is all of 24 versus all of 25. So please ignore that as well. My apologies, but you got the info here from me. I will fix that before anybody asks for it. I will get those two things fixed. But once again, if you are, thinking about, overall, the takeaway is that prices are up $35,000. Let's face it, like we talked about, they're mostly flat. But buyers are taking more time. Strategy matters. If you just want to throw your house on the market to see if it'll sell, that's totally fine. I get that. If you need to sell it, there's other options as well too, by the way. So I've got a video too about, in fact, I think I'll probably put it as my next, and I always, I don't know, I think it's going over here. But the next video I will put up will be talking about the cash offers that I have access to for you. Just about any home out there, I can get you a market value cash offer on. Seriously, it's actually a really cool thing that there's a handful of companies out there doing. It does cost a little bit more. It's kind of like you go to 7-Eleven because it's convenient. You're going to pay a little bit more for your soda, but you still stop and buy your soda there sometimes, don't you? So it's the same kind of thing. If there's a reason that you need to sell faster, it can be done. If you're really worried and you're like, man, I'm so worried about this market, I'm never going to get my house sold. It's okay. I can sell your house tomorrow. Literally. I mean, I can have an offer for you tomorrow that they will come out and they will take another look at the property. They want to make sure that everything's as they think. They will buy it for market value. The fee is usually around 6%. So that's going to be the convenience fee. But here's the thing. If you have any kind of equity, it's going to be a drop in the bucket and you can't actually get it done, which will be nice. So anyway, but if you are interested and let's say you would like just your own information on your own property, go ahead and send me a comment. You can always call. I have all of my information is in every description as far as how to get a hold of me. Also, you can schedule a Zoom call with me as well. Excuse me. If you would like to ever chat about any of this. I'm very low pressure person, I promise you. I've been doing this so long, it's really fine. I always just find that it's better just to let people talk through things. I'm never trying to sell you anything. I'm actually just trying to bring you some value. So at any point in time you'd like to schedule the Zoom, you've got all that information to do that as well. So if you're thinking about making a move in 2025, let's just talk through it. And, until next time, I'm Lisa Angel. I'm with LPT Realty, and I'm here to help you live your best desert life. Have a great day.